He's back there.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. Settle in, we got a long agenda. Get yourselves comfy. First, I need to point out the exits. There's an exit there that goes directly outside. That's the way you came in, through the foyer. This, you can go through my office and get out to the hall. That is not an exit. So the first thing on our agenda tonight is a public hearing on the Maltaville Water District Number 1 ordinance. That is the ordinance that will direct us in our management of the former, still Saratoga Water Services purchase. So is there anyone that would like to speak to the Saratoga Water Services Malta Water District Number 1 ordinance? I'll open a public hearing at 6:01. No takers? That's good. So we'll close the public hearing at 6:02. Next is a presentation of the tentative budget. I will ask the town clerk, has the budget been filed?
The 2025 tentative budget has been filed in the town clerk's office as of September 26th and delivered to the town board.
Thank you. I do have a few notes, a couple of highlights that I want to point out about this year's 2025 budget, tentative budget. It was kind of a tough budget year. We had 2 revenue streams that underperformed and no real expectation that they will perform any better next year. Those are mortgage taxes. There frankly just isn't much available housing stock that buyers would be likely to be getting a mortgage for. We do see some sales, but many of those turn out to be cash sales for one reason or another, so no mortgages. The other fund that underperformed is building permits. And, hopefully they'll be a bit better next year, but we were afraid to budget for them being too much higher. So both of those, for the mortgage taxes, we reduced that income by $385,000, and we've reduced building permits by $110,000. Of course, the greatest aspect of our revenue here in the town of Malta is our portion of the Saratoga County sales tax, and there's uncertainty there. The Saratoga County treasurer is anticipating a 0 to 2% increase in sales tax revenue for 2025. This budget estimates an increase in sales tax of $293,800. So there's a shortfall there. So with that in mind, we reduced the appropriations for the general townwide, the general part-time, and the part-town and the highway funds. This budget, however, does not also propose a general town tax or a highway tax. This budget takes into account the new water district that we have formed as a result of the proposed purchase of Saratoga Water Services and the establishment of the Maltaville Water District. One bit of good news is a favorable interest rate in our bond issuance for the Saratoga Water Services purchase, for both actually, resulted in a tax rate for Saratoga Water Services of 54 cents per thousand, assessed value for the 325 properties in the district. The map plan report that was prepared and accepted, overwhelmingly supported by the voters, anticipated 67 cents. So there'll be some savings there for all of you in the Saratoga Water Services District. The Maltaville properties also will see a reduction in what was anticipated in their map plan report. Those properties will pay $408.06 per equivalent dwelling unit. There's 37 properties in that district. This budget proposes an appropriation of $2,475,302 for fire protection services. The rate is proposed to be 70 cents per thousand assessed value, townwide. The increased levy was requested by the fire companies that provide services to Malta as a result of increasing costs and proposed programs to promote recruitment and retention of volunteers, an ongoing concern with volunteer companies. These 2 factors, water and fire, necessitate that we exceed the tax cap rules imposed by the state of New York on municipalities and school districts. The tax cap applies to the tax levy, not the tax rate. This means that the dollar amount of taxes that are collected can't exceed 2% of the previous years without further action by this board. To exceed the tax cap, the board needs to adopt a resolution, a local law, by a 60% majority of this board, and there will be a public hearing before that action before the board votes to exceed the tax cap. This budget proposes a 3% cost of living increase for most non-union employees. We're currently in negotiations for a new contract with the union that represents certain employees, so that may change. I have proposed to reduce the salary of the supervisor for 2025. In 2017, the town board nearly doubled the salary of the supervisor. I remarked then that although this is a demanding and important job, some aspect of it should be a desire to do public service. So this budget proposes that the supervisor forego the 3% COLA increase and reduce the current salary by $8,000. These are just some highlights. There's a summary in the beginning of the tentative budget that has more detail and that you can review. Just to let everyone know what the next steps in the process are, this town board will hold a series of meetings with department heads and not-for-profits, and then this board will make changes where we see appropriate. The preliminary budget will be prepared. Public hearings will be scheduled for possible exceeding the tax cap and the preliminary budget. And then this board will act on both the tax cap and the adoption of the budget in November. So there you have a little budget, lots more work to be done on it, so stay tuned. Next is the salute to the flag. At a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Next up is I will entertain a resolution to accept the town clerk's minutes for our September 9th meeting.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is comments from town residents. I just want to remind everybody that this is not a question and answer. If you have questions that you want answered by this board, please submit them in advance, or we'll answer tomorrow. Any comments? So just say your name and your address, please.
Kathleen Mason, 11 Stony Point Road, Malta. Good evening. I want to first offer an apology to the board members and to Mr. Gottman. I sent you an email yesterday regarding the density limits for multifamily housing and adding a density bonus. My friends and I misunderstood the purpose of that discussion tonight. We thought you wanted to add the housing bonus, not remove it. So thank you to Cynthia for your reply. And along the line of development and density, I'd like to read a letter to you. I am part of a loosely knit group of Malta residents from all different backgrounds that have one thing in common. We care about our town and how it may evolve in the future. We are in agreement that we like our small town, bedroom community feel. We also understand that growth is inevitable. We have been discussing what it might mean to have a clear vision for how our town will grow, how it might look 20 years from now. We have looked at our town comprehensive master plan, which is very well put together. There is one aspect of the plan that we believe could have the biggest impact in how our town may become overdeveloped and cause us to lose our small town feel, as well as cause dissension among its residents. That area is Planned Development Districts, also known as PDDs. We decided to take a closer look at PDDs and think through what could be done to make sure there is more clarification around their possible approval. As part of our process, we have been researching the PDD codes of 9 other towns in Saratoga County. We found many good parameters that other towns have in place. These parameters include much clearer, detailed descriptions in many areas, including what is considered a public benefit, a percent of acreage that must be left undeveloped or green, a percentage limit of density over the actual zoning that would be allowed, a clearly defined definition of workforce and starter and retirement housing, not just based on square footage, but other factors as well. Greater accountability from the developers and an increase in application fees. It has come to our attention that several board members have expressed an interest in stepping back from PDD applications for the time being. We applaud that idea, and we believe that this is the perfect time to consider amending the PDD language to be more precise and detailed. This will help our town to grow in a thoughtful and careful manner, in a way that will assure we keep our small town feel. A concerned group of us are working on producing some more detailed recommendations that we hope to send out to you soon. As stated in our Town Comprehensive Master Plan, the town has outlined an ongoing shift away from the use of planned development districts, which have resulted in less predictable development patterns. My friends and I believe that tightening up the PDD section of the comprehensive plan would allow for a much clearer vision of future growth while conforming better with our already excellent master plan. Thank you for listening and considering our suggestions, and we will be in touch soon.
Thank
And
you,
I'd like to
Kathy.
offer this letter, if you could make sure that they all receive a copy at some point and use it as you wish for the minutes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. All good points. Anybody else? Uh-oh.
Hi, my name is Jeff Wachowski. I live at 11A Sylvan Trail, and I was the June resident of the month. I've come to you to talk about Shenandoah Creek Park once again. We talked earlier in the year about the cricket field being erroneously or basically run roughshod over the town's rules and installed so that the multi-use park or multi-use field is no longer multiple use anymore. It's only used for cricket now. And over the course of the year, I've watched them play 8 hours a day, both Saturday and Sunday, and take over that area and the park and the parking lot. And did not clean up. The key item is not clean up after themselves. I've heard from the town and from the maintenance department about mowing over several, water bottles from here and there kind of thing. So I took it upon myself today to walk out there and spend 45 minutes walking around the perimeter of the park and of just that field, and came up with an entire garbage bag full of trash that was fairly fresh. It's not dirt covered, not buried under the leaves kind of thing. It's stuff on top, and the majority of it was water bottles and drink cans and aluminum cans and such, focused around the benches that they use for their dugouts or where their teams sit when they're not on the field kind of thing. So
I'm sure there's trash cans by that,
there's 5 trash cans by the bathrooms that are there all year.
not the bathroom, by the field where
No,
there's
there's
benches.
no trash cans out by the field.
But they still should be picking up after themselves.
They
I
bring-
agree,
they-
I'm not saying
They
it's
carry out full water
Throw
bottles. They
anything
should
on
be
it,
able to
but
bring them
I
back
mean,
out.
Right.
some
Disc
people
golf.
need a lot of help.
Disc golfers do their part for that. When the park doesn't have any trash cans, it's automatically a carry in, carry out park. Basically, you bring it in, bring it out. I play that course all summer long for years now. Ever since I had it helped have it installed. Thank you to the town for allowing me to do that. By the way, and at the max, I'll pick up 3-4 pieces of trash during my round. To find an entire trash bag of it,
Yeah.
in one is in my eyes, unacceptable. I love that park. You know, before the course even went in, I was walking the park, laying out the idea and the designs and stuff, and that was one thing I noticed, is the lack of trash that I found in and amongst around the woods and in the park itself. The people that use the park all respect it, and these new people don't seem to do that.
And we'll make sure somebody reaches out to the club and make sure they clean up after themselves.
I'm also here today to listen in on the renegotiation of the contract for the Multi-Athletic Association. I'm very interested and curious to see how that's going to play out.
Okay, great.
That's all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff. I'll take this with me. Or add to the dumpster out back.
Anybody else? Okay, well, comments from town board and department heads, and I do have several here tonight to remark on. First is the Miller Road update. The town highway department has the stop signs installed at Ivy Court and Sierra Trace? No. Eagles, yeah. I don't know that, do you have the ADA pads done yet?
We're gonna pour them Wednesday.
Okay.
Pour one 88 pad, that's all it's,
Okay, so they got right on that, so hopefully that,
stop ahead signs.
yep,
Stop signs are done. Crosswalk will go in after we pour the,
yep. So thanks for getting right on that, Roger. Um,
multiple people just ran right through the stop signs
yeah, well,
while we were working on there.
yeah, great. At least nobody got hurt.
You got it lit up like a checkpoint, which is nice, with flags and stuff like that, but until they get used to it.
On Saturday, October 5th, at the community center, there is a free event, which is very fun and exciting. It's the Malta Cultural Arts Festival. There will be music and dance workshops and food and crafts. It's from 10:05, it's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So hope for good weather. It's rain or shine. There's a tent set up, so hope for good weather and go see some events from other cultures. We have selected a candidate for the water distribution position. We are still interviewing for an assistant water superintendent. So if you know anybody in the water business, send them our way. We had a resignation recently from the planning board, effective immediately. So we're looking to appoint someone new to the planning board. Please reach out to my office if you or anyone else you know are interested or you want more information. It's a very important board, so hopefully we'll get some good candidates. Another thing that just came to my attention today that is kind of exciting is that the Saratoga County EMS Council has an annual award, and this year, the 2024 Advanced Life Support Provider of the Year is a paramedic from Malta Stillwater EMS. His name is Scott McNeff. I'm actually going to read this to you, what the award said. On February 2nd, 2024, Malta Stillwater paramedic Scott McNeff responded to a report of a subject through the ice in Round Lake. He arrived at the scene. His ambulance partner recognized that it was a local ice fisherman who'd fallen through a weak area in the ice. And so he was likely going to be below the surface soon. So with years of ice rescue experience as a rescue squad lieutenant for the city of Troy, McNeff made a calculated risk-benefit decision. With ice cracking beneath him, he skillfully crawled out to the victim, threw the man a rope, and secured him until the arrival of others who assisted in completing the rescue. Subsequently, arriving rescuers from Round Lake Fire Department and DEC assisted McNeff with pulling the victim to safety. He was warmed and transported and made a full recovery. So thank you, Scott McNeff, for risking your own life to save someone else. So it's that kind of heroism that makes our first responders, well, heroes, frankly. So last for me is we have a lot of action items tonight, which is not our regular procedure. This is our agenda item, but they're necessary in order to meet some deadlines. Almost all of it, except for maybe two things or things that we have discussed before. So that's mine.
I do think we need to make sure we figure out this problem. It's not be, I put a foot on daylight until sunrise to sunset, and you own the playground or the field all day for both days. It's probably a little unfair. We got to work about some kind of mechanism to alleviate, occupying the field, and therefore it's yours. But I agree with that. But, and before we get into all the water stuff, I'd like to thank everybody that's participated in this, Steve and all the lawyers that has helped with that. We're going to roll this thing out. It's going to have a bug or two. It's going to have to get tweaked or two, but I'd like to thank everybody that's participated in that, and Malta getting some water.
Matt, you looked like you had something to say?
Yes. I believe last meeting, there was a gentleman here asking to amend the PDD dealing with the Kramer Woods Apartments so they can be upgraded and then sold as condos. Having gone over there and looking at the apartments and talking to some of the people there, I am in support of going forward with that. If his plan is that there's going to be a natural attrition of people just not renewing their rents, and approximately 30% of the condos would be reverted over to, or apartments would be reverted over to condos per year. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. I think we expect to hear back from him sometime, so. Craig, anything to add?
All set, thanks.
All right, we'll start with tonight's action items. The first, I think, 5 are related to the purchase of Saratoga Water Services. First agenda is we have to do a SEQA review, a State Environmental Quality Review Act review on the purchase. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the short environmental assessment form, which has been filled out. All of these items have been marked as no or small impact may occur. I'm going to read them all. If anybody, any of my colleagues object to the answer being no, stop me and we'll discuss it. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Will the proposed action result in a change of the use or intensity of use of land? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? As this is an existing system that we're buying, I would argue that all of those are no's. If no one disagrees, then I will entertain a resolution to declare a negative declaration for adoption for this local law, which means that we are deeming that there are no potential significant adverse environmental impacts.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Again, I'd like to thank Bill, Steve, for all your work on all this stuff. It's a lot of words on a lot of paper. Thanks, you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is to actually adopt the local law that we had a public hearing on earlier. It's generally not our practice to have to adopt a resolution on the same night as a public hearing, but since nobody said anything, I think we're probably okay. So I will entertain a resolution to adopt local law number 1, Malta Water District. Greg?
So moved.
Second.
Matt? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Again, related to the purchase of Saratoga Water Services, we need vehicles for our new employees. So this next one is to authorize municipal leases for the water department vehicles. It will be 3 new vehicles. And it authorizes the town supervisor or the comptroller to execute any documents relative to that.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next one is something we haven't necessarily talked about in public. We have to adopt a fee matrix relative to the water, the new water department. What that means is we have to establish basically what we're gonna charge for water and connections and reconnections and things like that. So in the fee matrix, there is a section that is highlighted. The important ones that I think most people care about, there's a whole bunch of different things. There's different fees, different minimum fees for whatever size meter you have, but the important ones that I think that the public is interested in is the water usage will be $4.34 per 1,000 gallons. That represents $1 less than what Saratoga Water Services is now charging users. Our minimum charge per month will be $39.06. So those of you that now are paying $48.08 will pay $39.06, assuming you don't go over the minimum amount. And a water hookup, so a new connection, will be $1,500. And as I say, there are other fees here. There's fees for seasonal shutoffs or just shutoffs and reconnection and things like that, but those were the ones I thought people would be most interested in. So,
So move.
Second.
all in favor? Oh, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I think this is the last Saratoga Water Services one. So this resolution is establishing a budget for Saratoga Water Services. Because we didn't have a water department before, we have to have a budget for the rest of the year. So this is to establish a Malta Water District Number 1 budget for the 4th quarter of 2024.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is it for, I think, our Saratoga Water Services items. Thank you, Bill, for coming.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. This next one, although it says water, is related to the Maltaville Water District. We are in the planning stages of actually building a small water system down in Maltaville, and I think we talked about that a little bit earlier. That water will be provided from the Saratoga County Water Authority. We already have a contract with Saratoga County Water Authority because they provide water for our Luther Forest athletic fields. This is an addendum to that agreement to allow us to purchase water from the Saratoga County Water Authority for our Maltaville Water District.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next resolution, we're getting through the resolutions quick, folks. The next resolution, we did discuss, I believe, in an agenda meeting, is to authorize, it's an intermunicipal agreement for our animal control services. The city of Saratoga Springs would like to be able to use our animal control officer for some of their animal control needs. We wanted to have a intermunicipal agreement with the city of Saratoga Springs, primarily to protect our own liability, so that when he's doing their work, they're taking the liability, and also establishes them paying us. They will refund us our cost. So this is an intermunicipal agreement to authorize me to sign an intermunicipal agreement with the animal control, with the city of Saratoga Springs.
So move.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next one is kind of a walk-on thing. It's to approve the customer care agreement removal with our audio-video servicer. The only reason we have it on tonight, instead of discussing it for next week, is because it expires today. So it is a contract that we will pay them $3,650 to provide services to maintain and train us on our AV equipment.
So move.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right. Is it working right now? Thank you. That's checking, making sure we get our money's worth.
The next one is to authorize the closing, this board establishes the hours of operation for town businesses, and this is to potentially authorize the closing of the Malta Community Center on October 12th for paving of the parking lot. They were going to do it over a couple of days and during the week, and it was going to be very inconvenient for everyone because it's the front parking lot, so it's the parking lot when you first go in. So the paving contractor has offered to do it on a Saturday. There isn't really anything going on. There's open gym and there's a boot camp that will be rescheduled. So I'm looking for a resolution to authorize the closing of the community center for October 12th for paving.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a great idea.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last but not least on our action items is our budget transfers. The first one is to increase the building contractual, is to account for our rental of a temporary office space to move our maintenance, because our water department, well, everybody's moved around. The receiver of taxes is going to the community center where our maintenance was housed. Our maintenance is now in a temporary trailer, and our water department will go over to the old highway garage. The second one is we need to have some trees removed down at our Lakeside Park. The reason, most of the trees are being taken down or maintained by our maintenance department and with the help of our highway department, or the highway department with the help of the maintenance department, however you want to look at it. But these are trees that are too close to properties or power lines, and one of them is just massive. So we want to, the cost of those trees to be taken down by Adirondack Tree Service is $13,800. Tree work's not cheap.
It's not.
And I have a motion
So moved.
and a second,
Second.
and then discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Well, that takes care of the business part of our meeting. The rest of these items on the agenda are items that are for discussion among board members. They won't be acted on tonight. If we agree, they'll be acted on next week. First one is, we've talked a lot about a pedals program. We got a sizable grant, $1.6 million to construct a pedestrian multi-use trail from down the west side of Route 9. It includes some lighting, it includes benches and amenities, a bike repair station, and a mid-block crossing down by Cedar Point Woodfield. This first item is basically the consultant agreement. We're going to work with Creighton Manning to do the design work and the bidding and all of that. So it's a contract. It has been reviewed by our town attorney, who made remarks and comments. Anybody have any questions about it?
What's the cost of that consultant? Do we have that?
Yes, we do. Oops.
If it was put out, I'm sorry, I didn't read it.
Well, the schedule and construction cost, the preliminary and final engineering is $340,000. The right-of-way incidentals and acquisitions is $44,000. And then the cost of construction is the $1.65 million. This proposal is for phases 1 through 6 And this is for a total of $310,000 for phases 1 through 6.
Now, that's going down at the far end of Route 9.
Yes, in my opinion, it helps a very underserved part of our population, Malta Gardens. So it'll allow pedestrian access for residents of Malta Gardens all the way up to the connection of where there is already sidewalk.
So we're going to put a crosswalk where there's a 50-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
Well, I'm going to have to look at that one careful.
As I say, it's part of a program that we received a grant for, so we can discuss it more with,
Is it 50 or 55 down there?
is it
55.
55?
You better run.
Ideally, that speed limit will be reduced at some point, so find out. In my lifetime, hopefully.
It's concerning, but again, we reduce the speed, we're good. We get an engineer report, study.
That sidewalk is long overdue, no question about it. It's talked a lot, and I'm happy to see that. I think the price is a little bit hard to swallow, but
Yeah. But we got $1.6 million from the state for it, so
yeah,
that helps.
it's, it's still tax money.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be something that, hopefully we'll act on next week. If you have any further questions about it, first of all, you can go talk to planning staff. Adrian is, of course, the,
Yeah, I agree, I don't know,
Big
I got to dig into it. I'm sure there's going to have to be some kind of controlling device besides flash and yellow that's going to stop some guy that's been doing 55 and going to see some guy walking across the street.
yeah.
We need a better checkpoint than we got at Miller Road, I can tell you that much. All right.
Any other questions about that tonight?
Yes, I am concerned about that also, the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit,
Yeah.
the crosswalk right there.
Now, up here where it's
Where it's 30, that's manageable. Down there, I don't know.
It is, this calls for basically a construction in 2026 too, so hopefully some of those issues will be figured out and addressed by then.
And good job to
What was
Adrian
the
for getting
cost
this.
to have that crosswalk further out?
The one down by Sitwell, I do not know. Our budget for the one that's proposed out here is $330,000 maybe, something like that, so. Which that also should be going out to bid soon. I haven't gotten notice that it has gone out to bid, but
Miller
bid
Road was
documents
a
for
lot
parade.
easier.
Next item on our agenda is the Malta Athletic Association License Agreement. Just a little history on this, when the town developed the Luther Forest Athletic Fields over in the Tech Park, we they established the Malta Athletic Association. And the Malta Athletic Association's responsibilities have been to maintain and rent and manage those fields in addition to the Shenandoah Creek Park fields and the Malta Community Park field. But the agreement had been in place for, 10 years or something. I don't know when the original agreement was. And over the years, we have sought to kind of make some changes in it. So this is an updated agreement that was prepared by our town attorney. And again, I'll give you some of the highlights. We have notified the Malta Athletic Association that we do not intend to renew their current contract and that we're working on a new contract. Some of the high points about this are that the Malta Athletic Association will maintain and rent the Luther Forest Athletic Fields, but Jeff, you'll be happy to hear this. We're removing the Shenandoah Creek Park and the Malta Community Park from the agreement. So those will be managed by our own Parks and Rec Department, no longer through the MAA. There are provisions in this license agreement that attempt to make the facility more available for a larger number of users and allow for free open time for pickup games and general public use. It attempts to improve the communication between our Parks and Rec Department so that Malta is aware of the activities in the park. We've had a little problem with communication over the years, and they haven't been really notifying our Parks and Rec Department about what's going on over there. So this codifies some of that. It requires that they have a coordinated calendar so that the calendar can also be shared on our Parks and Rec site so that you, as you want to use the park, you'll be able to look and see when it's open park time or when there's a tournament or, that sort of thing, to make it just more available for multiple users. It defines when the members of the Malta Athletic Association can use the facility for free as part of their membership, and when the field rentals apply. For example, if for the members, one of the members is the Miss Scotty's organization, if they're just having a regular game, 2 teams, they can then use that field for free without the rental. But if they have a tournament, they're subject to the rental fees. That's just been sort of a misunderstanding, so it's really clarifying language in that. The last thing that I want to note is that right now, there are some expenses that the town of Malta has been paying, most notably the water. And now the Malta Athletic Association will pay for some of the additional expenses that were previously paid by the town. So it shouldn't cost us anything. So questions?
Yes, I have a question. It's, are the fees and bookkeeping of the Malta Athletic Association, do we get copies of that information?
Yes, we were supposed to, even under the previous agreement, we were supposed to get regular reporting. This defines a little more what exactly we expect to see from them. So yes, we should get better accounting from them.
And are they subject to any kind of independent audit?
Well, they're a 501c3, so they have to file a tax return,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Matt, I'm sure you have comments.
I have, they're actually, the MAA is actually watching us right now, and they're blowing up my phone. But it's good. No, we're glad that we're able to come to some type of agreement. I think they do have some questions about it, that in the course of next week, they'll probably be reaching out to your office just to get some clarification.
And if they want to, we can also have another workshop where we meet informally with them and kick it around if that's something they want, so.
Yeah, I think if we don't have an agreement I'm sure we're going to have an agreement real soon, but
Yeah.
worst case scenario is on next week, we may just have to table it if there's any discrepancies between the two parties.
Yeah, I don't necessarily expect to act on this. I just wanted the board to have an opportunity to discuss it and read it and think about it and talk about it.
And the Malta Athletic Association, as is, previously never paid for the water, now they agreed to pay for the water. And just hundreds of children that are using both the softball and
Yep.
soccer fields. It's
Oh, yeah, I
it's a
heard
really good thing.
there was a huge soccer event last weekend, maybe?
Yes, it's Oktoberfest.
Oh,
Yes, a lot of Malta,
Oktoberfest.
a lot of kids from Malta were out there reffing. It was nice.
it's a nice facility, and we really would like, a wide variety of users, more people using it more often, so I know it gets a lot of play. And the other thing is, if the MAA is listening, we value our volunteers. The Malta Athletic Association is a volunteer organization, and, they're helping out the town by taking care of this, and it's important, so thank you to the spirit of volunteerism.
Great.
One thing that I'd really like to see is, in the past, they haven't been very clear on showing their finances. And they were obligated by the contract in the past to be very transparent. I hope that
Yeah.
changes going forward.
Yeah, I think it will. We also had a meeting with them. Matt was there, there was just some misunderstanding about what our expectations were. And I think we clarified some of that, and we've gotten more communication even now without this. This is more specific too, so. Yeah, I'll wait to hear from them, and like I said, you may not see it next week, but we'll hopefully see it before the end of the year when the other one expires. I look now at my agenda and realize I skipped a couple things. Next week, along with the agreement from Creighton Manning for the pedals, we will need to establish a capital project for the pedals project. We also will be closing the Saratoga Lake capital project. This is basically just a housekeeping item. The project was established for the purchase of Mangino's, which has been done and over with for a bit, so we got to close that project officially. And then I didn't mean to jump away from the MAA too fast. Anybody else have any other comments about that?
Item 3, closing the Saratoga Lake Park
Capital
capital
project.
project. Could you explain that a
Yeah,
little bit more?
yeah, well, first of all, there's a lot of work left to be done down there, of course, but the capital project was established for the purchase of the park, and only the purchase of the park.
Okay.
And since that's been done, we need to actually close the capital project. We're not done down there, but hopefully, my goal is to at least have a couple of picnic tables down there by
I think it's
early
a
summer.
lot more than picnic tables.
Yeah, it needs some more work, but we're gonna plug along on it, get those trees down one step at a time. So the next is something that Kathy Mason alluded to, the repealing a local law, number 9 from 2017. This law was adopted by the town board, and at the time, in 2017, and at the time, the town board was interested in reducing the density of apartments in the downtown. So, that was mostly what the local law did, change that. But the local law also gave developers the opportunity to get a density bonus if additional units, I think it's 20% additional units, were available for seniors. And, the intent was to provide more housing for seniors. And since 2017, only one developer has sought to take advantage of this density bonus. During the process of the project, it was brought to our attention that the language in the local law could violate provisions of the Fair Housing Act as established by the federal government. In essence, in theory, providing 20% for seniors only could be deemed to be discriminatory to another protected class, families. Somewhat ironically, if it were 80% seniors and 20% undefined, it would be fine. So our town attorney and our planning attorney have both reviewed the law and the statute, and they agree that possibly we could be violating federal law if the project were to move forward under this provision. So it's been suggested that maybe we want to just repeal that law so that we don't have a law that might possibly be in violation of the Fair Housing Act.
I'm in support of repealing this. One of the problems I've always had with this is it allows a developer to build more apartments, and we have really no way to enforce if they are actually housing, if they are available to seniors.
That is true. We don't have any way to verify that.
And it also doesn't state that it would be cheaper for the
Right.
senior.
Right, there was no provision for that. So, anybody else? So we'll see. We do have some feelers out to get more information, and, but we may be repealing this local law, if not next week, in the near future. We done with that? Okay. Next, the updated Human Resources Handbook. We shared that with everybody. Just a little, some highlights. There's not a whole lot of changes. No major changes anyway. Language has been updated and the format's more user-friendly. There are several policies in the handbook that we have that were not addressed but needed to be addressed. These include social media, solicitation, distributions, purchasing and credit cards, maintenance of your work area, personal property, town property, unauthorized work, outside employment, time off to vote. I think there were a couple more. Those were just a few examples of policies that were not addressed in the current handbook that we've been advised need to be addressed in the new one. Other sections really just have expanded language to clarify some of the existing policies. The only two real changes are, there's a change, it's recommended changes in the bereavement policy. We added grandchild, aunt, uncle, niece, and nephew as relationships that you can get bereavement days for. And at the request of a couple of employees, we also struck the language that bereavement days need to be taken consecutively and commence the day after death. Oftentimes, services are delayed while family members wait for out-of-town members to arrive, and there was some question about if the person dies on a Friday, the loved one dies on a Friday, do Saturday and Sunday count as bereavement days? So this kind of clarifies that, so no, you can take them non-consecutively and for the number of days that you get for whatever.
I think it's the handbook getting right. It substantially hasn't been updated for
Yeah,
10 years, so I definitely don't want to rush through it 130 pages and have things contradicting itself. Give it to TLC that it deserves, and make sure it's a working document, not a document we're just passing that they get it pushed through. So if it's not really, really, really ready by next Monday, I mean,
yeah.
there's no rush, but we need to get it
No,
done.
there is no rush. I mean, just,
Like to get it right.
it was basically out for you guys to review. The only other change is, substantial change is that the emergency situations policy has been updated. This change allows that if there's an emergency closure of the town facilities, that the employees will be paid their lost time. Previously, if a town employee was sent home, like if the building closed because we got 30 inches of snow, or they were instructed not to come in because of an emergency, they had to use their own personal time, vacation time or personal time. So it's, right now, the proposed plan allows for the employee to be paid for time lost or not have to take vacation time or personal time. I know, and seriously, those are the only real serious changes in it. The rest of it, like I say, is language, so take some time and see if you can review it. You have the redlined version, so it's easy to see exactly what was changed. So, yeah, and there's no rush on that. We'll act on that whenever you guys are ready. Yeah.
I might not be ready, but I read slow.
You're a slow reader? That's okay, Al. Maybe that means you're a careful reader.
I don't go that far, but
Next, we've had a request from actually 3 places to install streetlights. One of them is the intersection of Copper Ridge. It's very dark, it's a boulevard, and since we might possibly be installing a crosswalk in there, they wanted a streetlight. Also Nabner, which is the same area of Malta Gardens, it's really dark down there at night. So I met with NYSEG and got an estimate. NYSEG will install the lights at no cost to us. All we have to do is pay the electricity for lights. I also would like to, so I'm proposing that we have NYSEG install lights at Copper Ridge and Nabner. The other place that we've had a request for is Woodfield, which is in that same general area. And I would like to put a light there too sometime. But Woodfield right now, the pole that is out in front, that would be the pole it would go on, is in the process of having the utilities changed. So that could be some time before that pole is ready for a light. So I'm requesting that the town board, or we discuss that the town board let us fill out this application and put some streetlights down there. Again, the underserved area of town, a lot of pedestrians coming out of Malta Gardens, and Nabner in particular is really dark. I originally had Taddeo on there, but when I drove by the other night, there is a light that illuminates that side of the intersection quite well there. I don't know whose light it is or what, but it's a light which it's very well lighted, so I don't think Taddeo needs the light. So, what do you think?
the more light, the better.
It's right
especially on
there.
soccer fields.
Yeah, we'll get there, Matt, we'll get there. Okay, well, we'll probably have a resolution to that effect then next week.
We gotta light up them crosswalks.
See, this went a lot faster than we expected. I told you all to settle in, but the last item on our agenda that we'll act on next week is the town court wants to apply for a Justice Court Assistance Program, a JCAP grant. They are requesting some computer hardware, additional security, video surveillance, alarm systems, some furniture and cabinets, some furniture, video signs. I think there was something about ballistic proof windows too in here, but not the windows themselves. It's furnish and install 3M ultra ballistic film on 38 panels throughout the court. Cover all the windows and doors in the court, clerk's desk, judge's desk, bench are all in view from the windows. So that's probably the biggest part, no, it's not quite it's the biggest number on here, $75,000. Or $7,500. And then the security is $6,500. So that's just, in order for the clerk to actually apply for a grant, this board has to approve it. Any discussion about that? Everybody good? All right, then that'll be an action item next week. And my folder is empty, so that's all I have. Anybody else have something?
Yeah, I got something. I'd like to thank our comptroller, Julia Smith, because I know it's going to be a busy time. They put a lot of work into the budget, and I got more reading to do, so. But I do appreciate it. I hope we got all the statements and everyone gave you all the information that you needed so we can make informed decisions and not come to the table and they haven't given us what we wanted. And then we all know a lot of things have pretty much doubled in the last 3 years, so things will be a little bit different. But thank you ahead of time, because I know it's a tough job.
There's still more work to be done, so, and she has done a great job, so thank you. Anybody else? Anything?
Yes. A couple of weeks ago, I had asked Jennifer about voting the upcoming election for District 9. Has that been resolved? Is that still going to be at the garage or
No.
no?
Polling district number 9 is now going to be hit in the town hall.
In here? Okay, thank you. And people will be receiving cards about?
That's already been updated on the Saratoga County Board of Elections website, our town website, and it will be updated on their
You're
voting cards.
right on top of it. Thank you so much. And the other question about that is, do we ask for an occasional drive-by by a sheriff's deputy during elections?
We haven't felt the need to, but I can ask them to keep an eye on us while they're here.
And especially this area, having Kathy's here, she's worked some of these. It can get very dark at night.
Yep.
This time of night, people coming and going, cars backing around, and occasionally, sadly, somebody who is a little overwrought. So
Yeah.
just to alert that it can feel a little isolating for many of us who have served and do serve as election inspectors, are not professional wrestlers, so, and
Yeah.
of a certain age. So it can feel less safe sometimes than I like. So I just would like to give that some
Yep.
thought about an occasional walkthrough would be appreciated, I think,
Yeah,
probably.
I can ask. Then on election day, they look around. You gotta,
Well, or that.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, this facility has that,
that's not a bad idea. I
Right.
don't think most election
Yeah.
workers know that's there, though, so.
yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Comments from the public? No? Oh, Kathy's back. Oh, no, you only get one time.
Oh, no.
All right. We'll make an exception, just this once for you.
Okay, thank you. So if you had any question in your mind at all on the repealing that local law, the density limits for multifamily dwellings, I would ask you to look at that letter that I apologize for sending to you, because, Matt just mentioned, who would monitor it. I mean, that was only one of the things, what would the age criteria be for a senior? Is that 55, 62, 65? Would it be for all seniors or those with fewer financial resources? Are they going to be handicapped accessible? Are they going to be built, easy accessibility? There's so many other things, and I did list a lot in that letter. So if you have any thoughts about whether you think it's a good idea to keep that in there, I don't think that it is.
My thought is to repeal it.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Oh, geez, everybody wants 2 times tonight.
Minor thing, I do basically,
Yep.
it's actually all good news. Per the UDisc scoring app for disc golf, we are slated to beat our 2023 totals as far as rounds played on the course in the next
Wow.
week or two, with another month, 2.5 months to go
Wow.
to beat that number. So
It's a great amenity,
the
Jeff.
course is being used. It's being well used, basically more and more every year, every month. And aside from that, one other actually question that you probably can't answer right now is when is the East Line paving project going to be finalized and they're going to stripe it? Because right now the temporary striping is practically non-existent when it's dark.
East Line,
East Line between 67 and Round Lake Road, I think is what it is.
that's
Road.
County Road.
County Road, all right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I know they put reflective tape there, but
It's,
I would assume they're gonna do it soon.
it doesn't feel finished. It's very rough, and like I said, there's no white shoulder lines on it.
No, I would imagine they're gonna finish all paving first before they stripe, so they might have something to pave that, I'm speculating.
I'll reach out to the county and see if I can get some information about the plans.
That's it. Minor stuff. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Anybody object? Nope. All right, thanks, everybody.
Aye.
Hey, you? Oh my gosh, it's been an age and a half. How you doing? Good, good.